Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the KETIV Autodesk Virtual Academy. I'm Nigel Mbaik, Application Engineer here at KETIV. I'm sure you all know that if you've been to one of these before. And today, my matching T-shirt friend, Rich Sanchez, is here with me as well, which is also on our engineering team here at KETIV. Today, really excited, we're going to go over Fusion Team and BIM 360 Team. Those are two collaboration tools and data management tools that Autodesk has released that you can use that leverage the cloud stack that Autodesk has. So obviously, as technology has improved over the last couple of years, things like this have been possible. So definitely really excited about that. Just to clarify a couple of things, Rich is going to go over how Fusion Team and BIM 360 started out as one thing and split into two. He'll go over that, but I just want to clarify a couple of things. One, some of you might think it's like, oh, Fusion Team, Fusion 360, Fusion Lifecycle. Those are all different products. Fusion Team is the data management on the cloud. It's not quite Fusion Lifecycle. That's like a full-blown PLM tool. I know some people on this call are actually using that. And it's not the CAD tool. That's Fusion 360. I know, super confusing. We get confused all the time. But hopefully that clarifies a little bit for you. And hopefully the rest of the session clarifies that as well. So I'll go ahead and pass it on to Rich. Go ahead and take over.
All right, let's get started. Okay, so good morning, everyone. As Nigel mentioned, today we're going to talk about Fusion Team and BIM 360 Team. So what are Fusion Team and BIM 360 Team? As Nigel mentioned, they started out as the same product. They started out as a 360 Team. And Autodesk has since decided to split them off into two. There's a couple of reasons why they did that. Let's look at what each of them is. BIM 360 Team is a cloud-based solution for AEC design teams, so that's architecture, engineering, and construction design teams that need project collaboration tools and really better interaction with stakeholders. Fusion Team is a cloud-based solution for product design and manufacturing teams. We need project collaboration tools and better interaction with their customers and supply chains. So really, same description, right? Just kind of for two different industries. So as already mentioned, these two are an evolution of what was a 360 Team. It was split into two industry-specific products. Right now, they both have the same functionality of a 360 Team with some added benefits. For example, with either of your options, Fusion or BIM, you get 500 gigabytes of storage per user. So you have a massive amount of online storage space per user. You also have additional user access controls. So why did Autodesk decide to change this? Really to help simplify their offerings. And I know you think, we're making more options, how does that make it simpler? Well, this kind of goes in line with the way the product design suites were reoriented. So now we have really the two collections. We have a manufacturing collection and an AEC collection. This goes along with that. BIM 360 Team being the companion to the AEC collection, and Fusion Team being the companion to the manufacturing collection. So as of right now, like I said, these do have the same level of functionality, but the nice thing is because they're split, at some point in the future, if we need to, or if Autodesk comes out with features that are industry-specific, they can more easily roll those features out to each industry group. So that's really what Fusion Team and BIM 360 Team are, and why there was the need to actually branch them off or split them both from a 360 Team. So let's look at who can benefit from either of these tools. And you're going to see, really for the remainder of this, we're going to look at them in parallel because right now they really are the same tool. So everything that I'm going to go over applies to both Fusion Team and BIM 360 Team. As far as who can benefit, both flavors of the Team product are made to facilitate collaboration and streamline the design process. Product design and manufacturing companies, as well as architects and engineering firms of any size, can benefit from using either Fusion Team or BIM 360 Team. So you can just see from the graphic here the different titles or the different team members that would benefit from using either of these tools. So let's look at the current challenges that some of our users or some of you out in industry are facing. communication is usually the biggest challenge when coordinating across teams, and it's especially difficult when teams are in different offices, cities, even different countries. Reviewing designs with others can be difficult, and when you can review your designs with others, how do you capture their feedback? Most users send files via email, FTP, or even cloud file sharing services like Dropbox or Google Drive. And then everyone will look at the files and will either call each other via phone call or maybe screen sharing like a WebEx or GoToMeeting, and we'll discuss it. The process, doing it this way, it can be slow, it can be prone to miscommunication, and if you're working off of a mobile device, it can be pretty impossible, right? If we're sending some of these design files back and forth, sometimes it's difficult to view those on a phone or a tablet. So really, any miscommunication at the review stage can lead to costly delays and rework. So if you misinterpreted someone's feedback on a phone call and you made a design change and it was the wrong change, that could ultimately result in either a rework on the project or even just a delay on the project. It's also very likely that different different members of the team are using different tools. For example, a window manufacturer might be using Inventor to design their product, but the architect on the project might be using Revit. And then the end customer might not have access to CAD tools at all. So what if even part of the team is using a non-Autodesk CAD tool? Well, Fusion Team and BIM 360 Team, they allow for a more transparent way to collaborate with stakeholders and team members without the need for CAD software. So you have the ability to review your designs together. Really eliminate some of these delays and rework, and it doesn't matter what file formats we're working with. So again, let's look at some more challenges. Sharing and finding files, staying organized, even tracking activity and progress. So what about sharing data with other team members? Slightly different than review. Sharing data in this aspect is more like collaborating, so let's share and work on the same files. CAD files and project-related documents like Word or Excel files even, you share all of those. Sharing with a distributed team is complicated. And often, you can have version control issues, you can lose files, and maybe design changes that aren't implemented on the right version of the file. That's if you can even find all of your files. Just this week, I was working with a customer, and the project we were working on, one project, there was over 1 gigabyte of data and over 500 files just for one project. So definitely sharing that amount of data and keeping it organized is a challenge. So with that much data, it is really hard to stay organized. Everyone's going to try, but with the decentralized storage approach, everyone on the team ends up with their own version of the project. And from my experience, a lot of the time, no one's version is exactly the same. So that could definitely add to the complexity of a project, especially a project with team members in different locations. And it's all just a product of the fact that we live and work in a connected world. And it's great. It makes it easier than ever to collaborate, but when we are rarely or even never in the same place as the rest of the team, it's difficult to know when tasks are being completed or gauge if the project's even moving forward at a decent pace. But that's the benefits is Fusion Team and BIM 360 Team, they help you overcome these challenges by centralizing all of your data, making it easy to find with project organization and search tools, and even activity tracking. So just to elaborate on benefits a little more, Fusion Team and BIM 360 Team, they're project-centric tools. So they give you, one online workspace for all team members. So this is ideal, especially for distributed teams, because it allows you to stay in contact in real time. And we know that everyone's looking at the same workspace. Everyone has the ability to quickly access the latest version of designs and other critical project files, as well as the ability to communicate, collaborate, and keep track of feedback from all stakeholders. Because these tools were built with the entire team in mind, everyone has viewing access to all file types, not just CAD users. So you can get a detailed visualization of your 2D or your 3D models for over 100 different file formats. So they can all be viewed right in your web browser on your desktop or on any mobile device via the mobile app. And it's not just view access. So everyone on the team has the ability to interact with the model. You can pan, zoom, tilt, you can section your model, you can explode your model, isolate individual components, and it's all in pretty high resolution. You can also even edit documents, edit presentations, edit spreadsheets, all from inside the team environment without having to leave and open a secondary application. So some more benefits. Fusion Team and BIM 360 Team's real-time collaboration engine. They allow team members to easily share files and provide or solicit feedback with comment and markup tools. Users can even pinpoint a specific view to reference their comment or markup. So if you're looking at an assembly, you can reference a specific component, you can rotate the model into a specific view and make sure that your comment is tied to exactly what you want it tied to. Being able to share this information as it happens, as opposed to, say, catching up on a daily email string, it allows decisions and the actions that result from those decisions to happen much faster. A lot of times that's the way teams work, is we have our tasks for the day, we do those, we perform all those functions, and at the end of the day, maybe we send a summary of what we've done to the other team members. Well, when we work that way, and other team members aren't seeing that until the end of the day, maybe there's a change or decision that they need made based on that, and then you don't get that feedback back for several hours. Because this is all real time, everything just happens that much quicker. Because everything is related to a project, files, models, comments, and any documentation, it's all safely stored and shared, viewed in the Autodesk Cloud Stack. That's what Nigel was mentioning. So Fusion Team and BIM 360 Team, they live in the same cloud space as the rest of the Autodesk cloud products. We also keep your data secure, so there is advanced file control and permission capabilities, so team managers decide who can view or download any type of project file. So if it's maybe a vendor that you're working with, you can give them access just to view the model and not necessarily download it. But at this time, let's go ahead and take a few minutes. Let's jump into maybe more of a demo. Let's take a look at what the team interface actually looks like. Okay, great. So I'm going to come into my web browser here where I have Fusion Team up and running. And I'm actually on the discussion tab, so let me get back to my home. So this is my home screen. This is my dashboard, if you will, for my, my Fusion Team. When I log in, this is what I see. In the main part of the screen here, I see any projects that I'm currently part of or working on. On the right side of the screen, you're going to see your activity tracker. So this is going to keep you up to date when anyone's added to a project or made some changes. If anyone's joined or left a project, you're going to see that all on your activity tracker, which stays here on the right side of your screen. Creating a new project is it's as simple as clicking on the Create Project button, title it, associate an image with it, and then I can begin to populate that project with data and invite other people to be part of that project. You'll see I can organize my view here to see all projects I have, or even just view the projects that are owned by me or projects that are shared with me by other people. If you click on in the top right corner, usually it has your initials there. That's where you can move from team to team. So you can be part of multiple teams, and every team can have really unlimited projects. I'm going to jump into the AVA demo project that we set up for today. So if we look at our activity tracker on the right side of the screen, we'll see some details. It's going to tell us, if there's any subfolders, how many files are in here. Also see the project members and their permission level. So right now, my only other team member here is Nigel, and he's in here as an editor. So editors can, edit and manage files and folders. They really have full access. I'm in here. I'm the project admin for this particular project, so I can decide who can join my project. I can decide if this is a publicly viewable project or if it's a closed project. There's the option there. So if the project is publicly viewable, other members of your team will be able to see it and they can ask to join it. If it's closed or hidden, no one will be able to see the project unless you actually invite them to it. So that's just another added level of security. If I click on the View and Manage Members down at the bottom of our activity tracker, I can see our current project members. If there were any requests to join, I'd also be able to see that here. And then I can go ahead and approve that as necessary. Adding more team members to the project, it's as simple as clicking on the Invite button, typing in their email address, and sending the invitation. So once that person receives the invitation in an email format, all they have to do is accept it, and then you'll see when they actually join your project.
Yep. And then you could add those people as viewers and not editors. Say for example, you've got someone, in approval who might not be a CAD user, but is looking at this thing for aesthetics. You can have them be a viewer only, and then they don't have access to edit the file as it lives in that cloud.
That's right. So while we're here on our main project screen, let's also look at some of the other areas. This is just the data area, the data section. So this is where all of your files or models are going to live. We also mentioned that there's calendar tools. So we can all share and work off of the same calendar for every project. We can set events, we can set deadlines, we can take care of all of those things here on this calendar, and that will automatically disseminate out to the other project members. And then the discussion screen, this is going to be the screen where we can have an ongoing conversation regarding the project. Any comments or feedback that we might have will live here as well. Right now we don't have any discussion just yet, but you can start a discussion here, and this will just keep track of it all for all project members. So following the breadcrumb navigation up at the top, I'm going to go back to our AVA demo homepage, and let's actually look at some of the information we have here. So there is a wiki page folder that gets created with every project. Wikis are great for keeping track of any information or descriptive stuff that we want to keep on hand for the project. There's a subfolder. This particular subfolder happens to contain a model created in Fusion 360, so Fusion 360 being the design tool in the Fusion lineup. I also have an inventor assembly in this project. So let me go ahead. I'm going to click on this to open that up. We can take a look at it in the viewer. So you'll notice in the top right corner, the view cube there, it's very familiar. This is identical to the view cube that all of my Inventor and AutoCAD users currently have. So this isn't new, really, by any means. I'm just going to set this current view here as front, maybe rotate my view around, and then let's look at the interface a little more. So up at the top, I can see a version v.4. If I click on that, we'll see that this keeps track of all of the version history for this. So every time this file is accessed, changed, opened, it creates a new version. So that way we can always see the progression of the design and always have access to either the most recent version or a prior version if need be. Down below on the bottom of the screen, we have all of our view tools. So I have my orbit if I wanted to rotate this around. Pan, so we can move that around the screen. First person, this changes the perspective, so orthographic or perspective view. And then also camera interactions, zooming, it's all pretty straightforward. There we go. Now in the middle here we have our comment and markup tools. So if I wanted to mark up, I would simply open up the markup tool. I can say freehand. I have different ink colors here, so I'll pick one of those, and then I'll pick an area of concern, and I can attach my markup right to the model here. So now if I save this, Nigel will be able to see this on his side. So you'll see there's a little flyout that pops up there, and when I click on it, I see my markup. Likewise, I can add a comment here, or say if Nigel were interacting with this same file right now, he could also add a comment to this. I can hide all of the markers. There we go. And then I can also section this. So let me rotate my view around just a little bit so we can get a good view for sectioning. Let's see here. There we go, that should work. Okay, so to section, I'm just going to add in a plane, so I can pick any of our origin planes, or I can even just create a box to section it. So let me just add in an X plane here. And you'll see it cuts it right in half on the X axis, or the X plane. And then I can decide to pull on this glyph here, this arrow, and simply drag that out to the right section depth. So once I get that to where I want, I can even add a comment or other markup right on this view. So if I want to explode the model, actually look at all the individual components, I have that ability to do in here as well. So you'll see I have simple as a slider. It will explode. I can see all of the individual components. And I can even isolate an individual component. So if I wanted to just work with that one or comment on that one, I can do that here. We also have print and property tools. And also full screen, that'll take it full screen. I don't want to do that right now just because of the presentation going on. But you'll see the level of interaction that you have with your models.
And this is for, and as Rich mentioned earlier, this is for even people who don't necessarily have CAD tools installed on their machine. Like you don't have to have Inventor installed to do this because it's all sitting on the cloud stack at Autodesk.
Exactly, and that's what's nice is because you don't have to have cloud tools installed, you can share this now with other people on the project. For example, what if something, a component here needs to be approved, or you need to share the design with someone in the purchasing department that wouldn't normally have CAD tools? They can review the design, they can see the material, they can then take that information and probably work on sourcing it or getting a quote to have that component manufactured. Without having to provide them with, perhaps an expensive CAD tool that they might not fully utilize.
Or even have them, install viewers onto their machines. Sometimes run into issues there because those viewers can only read certain file types, whereas, sitting up here in Fusion Team, you can read, what's that, almost 100?
Yeah, it's 100 different file types. That's 100 different CAD file format types, in addition to all of the Office file format types it can also handle. So you can see all of the levels of interaction that you have with your model here. It definitely makes it easy to collaborate. This is all real time, so Nigel's looking at this on his screen, and he can see everything that I'm doing as I do it. Great.
Let's get a refresh real quick.
So we can see that as I was interacting with this, as I was showing you guys, Nigel was also looking at the model. He made some comments, so once I refreshed, I was able to see his comments, and you'll see there's a timestamp here. If we look at current time, it's almost 10:30. Nigel made this just a couple minutes ago. If I click on it, it rotates the model directly into view, and I can see his comments. So I'm going to make these feet taller by 0.5 centimeter. I'm also looking at a material change for this component. So I can now take that into mind and modify the design. I can reply to his comment. Will do. Great, and you'll see that automatically updates, so Nigel will get a notification that I've responded to his comment.
Perfect. Yeah, and along the same lines as if you noticed, when he did click that comment, the view cube rotated. When you do make a comment, it stores that view as if it were like something similar to a view representation in Inventor. whatever view you had when you made the comment is what view is going to pop up for everyone else. So say you made a comment on something on the inside, and you had this thing like blown up or something. The person viewing the comment is going to see the exact same thing as you when you did make that comment. So not to confuse you of what is this actually pointing to.
Exactly. And just one last thing we want to look at here is, so far we've only been interacting with this model inside the team environment. So let's say now that I've read Nigel's comment and I need to make the design change, I can simply come up here and download the file and then work with it local to my machine, make that change, and then just upload the new version right back into the project.
Mm-hmm. And if some of you were here a couple of weeks ago for, we did a collaboration for Fusion 360, which is the CAD tool, you're going to notice a lot of this is the same or very similar to it. They do live on the same cloud stack. They're using very similar, if not the same technology for a lot of the features. So definitely, it's familiar for those of you who are using another tool. Another really cool reason to use it.
Yep. So this is just been our quick overview on Fusion Team and BIM 360 Team. BIM 360 Team operates in very much the same way as everything we've seen today. And then also worth mentioning that these do tie in at some level with your current design tools. So there is a tool within Inventor. I can easily push my designs up into the environment.
Yeah, and I think we do hear a lot of people who use necessarily using network drives to store their data, or things like cloud data, not data management necessarily, but cloud storage, things like Dropbox, Google Drive, etc., for their CAD data. Well, something like Fusion Team is very much similar to something like a Dropbox, but it is built optimized for that CAD data. So it's, I'm sure 99% of the people on this call, I can, very confidently say, have run into some sort of file linkage error. Maybe because someone moved the file somewhere, or because the file didn't get uploaded to your network drive, something along those lines. Something like Fusion Team is going to keep all of that in check. All those file links are going to maintain. If you move a file around, say for example you move a child part around, the assembly is still going to be able to find it because it knows that that link exists between that part and that assembly. Something really big, I think, is a benefit of using something like this over one of those drives.
That's right. And one last thing I want to show everyone is how easy it is to actually load your data into here. So let's say I'm starting a brand new project, and this is a fairly recent project. To populate this initially, it's as simple as finding the information we want. So this is an Inventor assembly, right? I can see I have my assembly files here, all of my related components. Well, I'm just going to simply drag and drop. So the system already sees that it's found an assembly in that folder. It's asking me would I like to upload it as an assembly. I'm going to say yes. It's going to find all of the related components. It's telling me now I have 137 files to upload. I will say upload. And there you go. The system handles it for you. It maintains all of those linkages.
Yep, and it's chugging away in the background there. So yeah, it's as easy as honestly dragging and dropping. You don't have to be like, I'm going to select this folder. I'm going to use all of these files. Oh wait, this is referring to a part that's like all the way over here, and a folder, directory that's super far away, or even content center files can pick up those too. So I think that answers Adam's folder. You do have to have the part files up there for the assembly to know that they're there, but you don't have to do them individually. If you just, as Rich did, select the assembly, send it over, it's going to search your machine for those part files that are associated with that assembly and move them over, as opposed to someone who's using Dropbox per se, grabs that assembly file, puts it in their Dropbox, someone else goes to open that assembly, and you have to, resolve thousands of links for parts.
That's right. Dropbox, for example, isn't aware that an assembly file is an assembly file, and it has all of the relationships that it does. Because Fusion Team and BIM 360 Team are built by Autodesk, it is aware. So when I upload an assembly file or a Revit file, it scans it and it sees all those file relationships, and it makes sure to grab all of those as it uploads your data.
Yep, and so, same thing with a drawing. If you pull a drawing, it's going to get everything it needs for that drawing. It's going to get the assembly, if it's an assembly drawing or a part drawing, it'll get whatever it is a drawing of, and then all the children of that thing. So definitely useful. So I think we can go ahead and jump into question and answer now. We do have a couple. The first one I think we just answered from Adam, whether or not you have to upload all of the part files in there if you wanted to share an assembly. The second one is, you guys showed Fusion Team today. What does BIM 360 Team look like? Is it the same? Are there other features?
The color scheme is a little different.
Yeah, instead of an F, it's a B at the top.
Yeah. But other than that, they really are the same tool, especially right now. Again, as the tools progress and as Autodesk develops more features that are industry specific, we will see them change slightly. But they look and operate very much the same way.
Yes, that's very true. And it's not necessarily, say for example, you do have a BIM 360 team. That doesn't mean that you can't look at manufacturing data. You very well can. Say for example, you just had an inventor file in there for some reason. It's not going to stop you from viewing it. You're going to be able to look at manufacturing data. It's not going to stop you from being able to see that.
And one good workflow I can see there is maybe you are an architecture or construction company and you're working with a product designer.
Yep.
And they send you a sample file of their product. You can look at it in Fusion or in BIM 360 Team, approve it, and then they can create the Revit family for you, for final submittal.
Yep, and then you can just go ahead and put that in your architectural files, and it's definitely a good workflow. Let's see here. You mentioned Fusion Team and Fusion Lifecycle. What are the differences between the two?
Great, that's actually a good question, and I know that it can be confusing because there are a lot of different tools now in the Fusion lineup. So Fusion Team is what we looked at today. This allows us the collaboration tools. Fusion Lifecycle is it's more of a PLM solution. So it's more about product lifecycle management. It gives you maybe some more detailed, more in-depth tools specific to a certain product line as opposed to a project. So I would say PLM manages data maybe at a more detailed level than Fusion Team does.
Correct. Yeah. So and for those of you who are still a little confused, they do use the same backbone in regards to the data management side of things. So if you do look at the data management on the Fusion lifecycle end of things, it's going to look very similar to the Fusion Team stuff. They're using the same technology. Fusion lifecycle just adds things like revision control on top of that. And I think that's like the big one, and lifecycle management over the one. Let's see here.
Okay, so someone's asking if the version control in Fusion Team is the same as revision. So that's another good question. The quick difference between a version and a revision. A version is maybe more of a minor change. Every time you open or change the document, it's going to create a new version. Fusion Team does not manage revisions, but you can manually manage those and still use it with Fusion Team. Just think of a revision as a more major change.
Definitely, or like hitting, I like to think of them as like milestones for that particular part assembly, whatever you want to manage. And versions are kind of children of revisions. That's how I look at it.
That's a great way to think of it.
Yeah, so revision's the big thing. Versions are the small things that comprise that large thing. I think that's it. What I do want to do is, oh, here we go. Another question came in.
Okay, so the question is, Nigel, as Rich made changes to the views during the discussion, was he able to see the live updates?
So no, because I wasn't looking at Rich's, well, I was looking at Rich's screen because I'm sitting next to him. But if Rich is viewing the model within his own browser, I can't see him rotating his model around and stuff because, it's kind of as if he's doing that on his own computer, I've got my own computer. But say, for example, Rich commented on something like he did, that instantly popped in if I had the model open at that point in time.
Right, and there is an interface where you can look at it together. just because our setup right now with the webcast, Nigel is also monitoring the webcast, but otherwise, you know, there is a mode where you can review a file together in real time with other team members.
Yeah, and that's the live review session. And you can even, you know, it's kind of like hosting a GoToMeeting, except, you know, optimized for your CAD data. I think Brian shared that a couple of weeks ago. If he rotates the model during that live view session, if we're, you know, say for example, we create a meeting where, you know, 3 of us jumped into the live review and Rich had control of the model. If Rich rotates the model in that live review session on my machine, I'm going to see that rotate happen or that explode happen. And that's something we can go over a little bit later. It's kind of hard to do it logistically and show you, you know, multiple screens doing a webcast. But if that's something you want to try out, definitely let us know, and we can set one up, you know, where someone from our team and yourself, you know, can try one of those live review sessions out. Definitely very good.
Yeah, you know, that's a good point. If anyone on today is interested at all in seeing this for themselves, let us know. Get in touch with us, and we can certainly set up a session, and we can show you exactly how it works, and we can do one of these live review sessions with you.
Yep, and you know, yeah, like he said, you know, we're always open to that. And even if it's not about Fusion Team and you want to learn about something else, reach out to us. We might be able to put something together, whether it's a webcast or we can do an individual review with you over, you know, anything pretty much relating to these CAD products. So yeah, with that, thank you all for being here. Thank you, Rich, for being here today and joining us.
No problem. Happy to do it.
So with that, I'll go ahead and let y'all go today, and we'll see you next week. Thanks, Rich.
Thank you.